Hey FlossTube, it's been 5 weeks since my last FlossTube confession, and it's been a busy 5 weeks. So for those new here, welcome. This is Annette. I am in Arizona, and this is FlossTube number 60. So for those that have just joined me, welcome. This is mostly about cross stitch. We do add a few books at the end. But primarily I have stacks of stitching to show for the month of April. So let's get started. First up, as usual, this was April. This was my April. You can see it was busy. It was hectic. Those few low stitching days here at the end of this week were because of business travel. I did manage to get a little bit of stitching done. And I'll show you what that was, but it was very limited compared to what I usually do on those types of days. I've already got a start in May, which fortunately or unfortunately is going to have more business travel. Those dark bands represent business travel days. I've already had one trip earlier this week, and I have another one starting on Monday, which is why I'm recording this today on Friday, May 7th. So that's where we're at. So we're going to touch the majority of April, and we're going to touch the first few days of May in this update. So first, in my last update, I mentioned that I had finished Snow Globe Mantle, but I couldn't show it to you because it was at the framer. Well, it's back from the framer, so I have it here. Here it is. Oh, okay, so here it is. Let's see if I can get it all in there. Well, there it is. Sorry, you can see my kitchen window there. Anyway, so there it is. Simple kind of white rusticy frame. It's a big piece. So it's done on 18 count linen over 2 using pearl cotton. I used all the kit materials. It was a series of 3 kits from Bent Creek, as that's the way the mantles are structured. But now it's all framed. My husband has already claimed it, so it will go in his room, his man's room that he has. So that's done. So that was done and framed, and they did a great job, and I'm very happy with it. Otherwise, I did have 3 other finishes during the month of April. None of them very big, but that's okay. Both of these were starts and finishes. The first, I participated in the Modern Folk Embroidery Quick Quaker Sal, and here's my finish. I did choose my own colors. These are all Silks for You colors from my stash on just white 40 count linen. I did take this with me on the business trip that I did earlier in April, and I did manage to keep up with the daily stitching, but that was about it. So it was like 140, 150 stitches per day that I did while I was gone. But there it is, and I really like it. So it was easy. I started on April 1st. I ended on April 30th. He's going to do another 30-day sal in August for a Frisian style sampler. I will definitely be doing that. If you're interested, you can go to Jacob's YouTube channel, and he actually showed the sampler on the April 30th, the final Quick Quaker Sal daily recording. He showed it, what it's going to look like, and he showed kind of the color palette that he had chosen and is working with Evertote to get those colors available. I think I'm going to actually use the same colors that I did on the Quick Quaker so that they'll kind of go together. So that's the plan at this point in time. The other thing that I started and finished was a design for a class at Spring Mingle, which is coming up next weekend. So this is Do Dragons Fly from Hands On Design. We're going to learn the finishing for the octagon, which is kind of cool looking. I also bought the finishing kit from Lindy Stitches, so I got that in. I did kit it up from stash though. I did not buy, I only bought the finishing pieces. I didn't actually buy anything more than that. And I'm using a Lavender Whisper Belfast linen. So here's the bottom. That was pretty easy. And then here's the top that I did. So again, this is Lavender Whisper Belfast, so 32 count. I did make just one very minor change to how I stitched it. If you see on the model, it was done on a pink linen, and so kind of those edgy bits, those triangles, were done in a pink floss. I swapped that and used this bluish purple. It's DMC number 30. I didn't change anything else. I only changed the edgy bits so that they would complement the lavender fabric a little better. So other than that, it's all of the called for colors, which are right here. So that is, I started that on the 19th of April, and I finished it on the 30th. So I am ready for class next week for finishing. Kathy just said, don't worry about finishing before class because the video will be available for 30 days afterwards. But I knew that if I didn't actually have it done and wasn't ready to get it started on the finishing, that it would not happen anytime soon. So I am ready. So those were 2 starts, 2 finishes. The third finish was an old whip. It was from the Sewn in Friendship. I believe I showed that a month ago or 2 months ago. I showed it in one of the previous videos. Well, I did actually finish the one piece. I have since sent it off to the finisher so that it can be made up, because one of them, I don't know which one yet, will be a gift that I will deliver in June. So I should have it back. I will have it back, but for the next update so I can show you, but then it'll end up at its final home sometime in June. So since I didn't have that finished, I brought some other ones from the archive, shall we say, or the vault. I brought some other finishes from the vault, and I think I'm going to actually take a couple of these tomorrow to get framed. So we'll see. I have 4 here. I don't know which 2 I'm going to take, but I'm definitely going to take 2. So the first one I have is Lost Souls Cemetery from Autumn Lane Design. So this is a finish. This is on 28 count Whirlpool Cashel linen from Picture This Plus using DMC. This was, I think this was my first Autumn Lane, and I absolutely loved stitching on this. So I loved it. So it's ready to go to be framed. And that's one. The next one is another old whip. This is Teresa Wensler's Noah's Ark that I finished a few years ago. It's stitched exactly as charted. All those animals are over 1. This is on 25 count. 25 count antique white Lugana DMC. The chart is available on Patterns Online, as are, I think, all of Teresa's non-dragon patterns are available on Patterns Online, but this one's definitely out there. This was a labor of love. I started it not long after my son was born, and I did finish it. It was at least 5 years ago I finished this. So, oh no, look, I finished it in 2020. I actually marked it. Yeah, I finished it in 2020. So it's been hanging out waiting for something since then. But those animals, whew, I mean they were okay. I mean, I do a lot more tiny stitching now, but when I was working on that, it was tiny stitching was not something that I was doing regularly. So, all right, this is Mirabilia's Miss Christmas Eve that I finished, again, probably in the 2020, 2021 range. This is on 32 count, my laptop keeps going to sleep. This is on 32 count fresco linen from Picture This Plus, using all the called for threads, which is DMC, water lily, and then of course all the beads because it's Samira. Anyway, so yeah, she's all done. I'm ready to go on my Mira wall, my Mira ladies wall. So she was fun. And then the last one that I have to show you was also a 2020 finish. And it was the Fox and Rabbit 2020 Stitch Along Quaker Friends and Family Sal from Fox and Rabbit. Oop. And so this is on 36 count white linen using DMC 815. All of those letters represent kind of my stitching gang. There's a group of us that have known each other since the 2000, 2001 time period. Most of us met on the Teresa Wentzler bulletin board, and that is the initials of my gang. The individual initials are actually my dogs. G for the 5 schnauzers that I've had over the years. G for Greta, C for Cooper, N for Nero, D for Duchess, so M for Max. So yeah, but mostly it's my stitching buddies. So yeah, again, I finished that sal. I kept up with it and I finished it in December of 2020. So yeah, so those are 4 past finishes. Like I said, at least 2 of them I'm going to take. I think I'm going to take tomorrow and drop them for framing, which is part of the reason I'm doing this video on Friday afternoon after I've been done with work. So that was a bunch. Those were finishes. Now, as far as the whip pile goes, I did have, I had 4 additional new starts, but I'll show those when we get to them in the pile, I think. Or, I'll show them as I get to them in the pile. Okay, so first I want to show this. I've completed April on my Satsuma Street local conditions. So that second row is now March and April. I have been sort of batching this update, so Saturday I'll kind of take the week's temperatures and I'll put in the buildings and stitch the week's temperatures. So I haven't started May's yet because I did, like I said, I had to travel last week and I left on Sunday for my trip. So I have April complete, but I haven't started May yet. But I will start May tomorrow. I'll start putting in the first 8 days of May tomorrow. So April was pretty good. You can see no red here. We didn't hit 100 at all in the month of April, which was kind of nice. But I suspect we're going to get there this week for May. But Satsuma Street, I'm very happy with how this is going. So that is up to date through April. I will say I did not hit all of my whips, all of my rotation whips. April kind of went off the rails a little bit with the new starts, and then the business travel kind of messed things up, and it is what it is. But I still got quite a bit. I didn't capture all the stats, but we got through it, and I did make some good progress on the projects that I did touch. So one of them was Love Conquers All, Modern Folk Embroidery. This is the Salentine's Sal this year with Roxy Floss, and this is where I'm at now. needle minder will let go. Thank you. All right, so here's where we're at now on that. So it's 3/4, a good 3/4 complete. I'm using the called for Roxy Floss, and the fabric is not the called for. The fabric is not on that label. So fabric is a mystery, but it is a 40 count Roxy Floss something fabric. So there it is. And I did put the 2026. I'm thinking I'll have this done this month in another 10 hours. The CA are my initials. Annette is actually my middle name. And then I'll put the husband's initials over here. So that is ready to be for its next round and hopefully a finish. All right, this is this year's Fox and Rabbit. So this year's Fox and Rabbit, I have stitched the May section. This is Picture This Plus Twilight linen using Sulky 12 weight in Buttercup. And there it is. Poof. I did use one strand of DMC 744 for the back stitch in the May section. I'm not going to do it in the previous sections. Looks fine without it, but that's caught up. I'm ready for June. I don't think I did work on No Time Like the Present, but I haven't worked on, I did that the first week of April, which was before the last video, so it hasn't changed since the last time you saw it. So the other piece that I added more to is Satsuma Street Holiday House. I'll put a picture of what it will look like. This is another one that's getting really close. So this is, here we are. This is Holiday House, Satsuma Street. I put that big old stripy roof on there and finished more of the mouse. And then the pitched roof above the polar bear, that was added this month. So this is on Fox and Rabbit Hog Bristle, 36 count Hog Bristle. And getting close. I am aiming for a Christmas in July finish for that holiday house. I've been looking at the other houses that she's done, the monster house, and there was another one, and I like them, but I don't know, I don't like them as much as that one. So we'll see if I do another one, but for now that one's almost done. Okay, and then the last whip that I worked on was Abundance by Shakespeare's Peddler. This was a project from the Autumn Abundance retreat at the attic last fall. So this is what it'll look like when it's done. And here's where we're at now. Ooh, the house. I got almost all of the red done on the house. The only thing I'm missing, there's a second chimney that I need to put in, and then that's all the red on this first bottom left page. The house I filled in, so let's see, I filled in all of the grass down here, so all that's all filled in for the page. And like I said, I filled in all the red on the third story. Now, the funny thing is, apparently the last time I worked on this, I decided to do a little bit of not redecorating, renovation, shall we say. I did a little renovation on the house. Unintentional, but this second story window, yeah, it's not supposed to look like that. It's not supposed to look like that. As you can see on the chart, that second story window, see, it's only 3 panes high, and the bottom pane is black. Yeah, that's not what I have. So we're going with this. My house is going to be a little different than everybody else's house that stitches this chart. So, but that's okay. I may still do the black. We'll see. We'll see. So those are the whips that I touched from my list. The rest of my time was taken up with a couple of birthday starts and then a Sal start. So, one birthday start was Royal Games from Mirabilia. I've had this kitted forever in my stash, and I decided to start it for my birthday. So I did first 10 hours, and I started at the bottom. So I have the beginnings of the Queen of Spades. So it was a good start for 10 hours. So she was good. Like I said, 10 hours. I started it on the 13th of April, so I called her my dark stitching, because I started with the spade. The other birthday start that I had was Chocolate Sampler, which was designed by Jean Lee of The Attic. This is one of the pieces that I have been looking at the attic for as long as I've been going to the attic, which is many, many, many years. And Jean always said that she would get it charted, but she didn't. And thankfully, after she left us, the ladies at the attic went ahead and had it charted. So I have 38 count cloister cream legacy linen, which is one of my favorite linens, and I started in the bottom left. And again, this is 10 hours. And this is done in Gloriana Cranberry Silk. So, there it is. That's the bottom. This is all the way across on the bottom left page. Page ends here. And I've just got a little bit at the top to get to the top of the page. I really enjoyed the daily stitching on the Quick Quaker. So I've been toying with the idea of actually making this a daily stitch. But I won't do that until after I get back from the business trip that I'm going on this coming week. And then we will reevaluate and determine if I am indeed going to do the daily stitch on the chocolate sampler. But it was neat. I mean, I did that last year, actually, and I finished a large ink circles piece, which I'll show you in a future video. And it's amazing, even with just 100 or 150 stitches a day, how much progress you can see in a week. I'll hold on that one to last. Okay, next new start. I knew I was going to be traveling, and so I wanted a new small, of course, why not, start for my travels. And I knew it couldn't be on a 40 count or 36 count fabric, so it's like I need something on like a 28 or 32. So I was poking around in the stash, and I found this 4th block party from Hands On Design. I have finished the Jingle Bell block party that was part of the Jingle Ball a couple years ago. I actually stitched and completed that and finished that. and I really like the blocks. So I said, oh, this would be a good one. So again, poked around in the stash, found some 32 count purely primitive linen from the old silk weaver linen. And essentially what I did was I started an outline, of the top. So essentially you stitch the top. So this is my start on the top. And I did this on the trip. So either on the plane or I got a little time to stitch in the hotel. So I got this far on the top, which is pretty good. And then I also started outlining the bottom. So this is just the beginning of the bottom. And I had found hold on, gotta move it. I found these handy dandy little like clear clamshell containers. They're zipped, they're plastic, they're not hard plastic, but it fits everything perfectly. Floss drops, right? I have a pair of readers for the plane, a little needle box, a pair of scissors, the chart, and this is a fat quarter of linen that I have. I could probably cut it down, but whatever. And it all fits in here beautifully, and it keeps it nice and neat for travel purposes. So I was pretty psyched. I have, like I mentioned, I have another business trip this week, and again, it's a longer flight up to Pennsylvania. And I'm staying in a hotel that I've stayed at before, so the lighting is, I'm familiar with the lighting. It's not bad. So I'll take this for this trip this week, and then I have another trip in June that I will take it on. That's an actual fun trip. I'm going to StitchCon weekend day, so I'll take it for that. So yeah, so this will be my little travel project for the next couple months. I like how it all fits in here, no problem, and it makes it very easy and portable. So I started that, and then the last start that I had was on April 24th, Lola Crow Museum After Midnight. We got the frame, so basically the museum frame. And I got this lovely dinosaur bag from Vicki at Stitch and Button. Now, this ended up being a gift from my dear friend Laurel. She found out I had ordered the bag. She knew I was ordering the bag. And so she arranged for it to be gifted to me for my birthday. Thank you, Laurel. I very much appreciate it. And I think it's perfect for the Sal. Now, the bag doesn't have to travel alone, so I got another one too, and it's over there, and I'll show you in a minute. But my plan for the frame, so we've got the frame, the chart, and we have 6 weeks to complete the frame. So it's approximately 6,300 stitches, which means it's 1,050 stitches per week, roughly, to be done by the time the first exhibit or the next exhibit is released in early June. So I am doing 1,050 stitches per week. So I have completed 2 weeks so far, just over 2,100 stitches, and here's where we're at. So this the next exhibit goes in that bottom left corner. So I could stop now and be good to go, but I'm not going to. So I've done 2 weeks worth of 1,000 stitches, so here's where we are. And I bought this new little dinosaur skeleton needle minder because I didn't have anything very appropriate. I threw the Nightmare Before Christmas on there, but I like this guy. He's a cutie. So yeah. So this is on 32 count dapple linen from Picture This Plus, which is not the called for linen, but that's okay. It's very similar as far as intensity and color. So that was my 4th start. Well, technically 5th if you count do Dragons Fly, even though that was a start and finish. So, well, I guess, and Quick Quaker, so that was 5 starts. So yeah, April had a lot of starts in it. That's okay. Along with my handy dandy little dragon needle minder, I got a few others because obviously they can't travel alone, and free shipping is fantastic. So I got these guys, and I love how they're smaller. They're tiny. I like the little fish and the plant and the pineapple and the planet. So these are from Caffeinated Cat Crafts on Etsy. So obviously the dinosaur was here. So it's been a long time since I've actually bought needle minders. All right. So what else did I buy? I have a bucket. All right. So as I mentioned, I bought a second bag from Vicki. So this is the second bag that I got from Vicki. I was part of the drama club when I was in high school, so this was kind of a must-have. So I got that. I have no idea what I'm going to put in it, unlike the dinosaur bag, which I knew exactly what was going in that. The dimensions scramble got me, and I found this one for beach chairs. I love the colors. So I got that. I did buy patriotic. Garon had Ronnie put up some patriotic project bags, so I got one of those and the matching Vanguard, which I will probably use later this month. We'll talk about the plans. And again, I can't travel alone, so I bought red work pairs. I've never done a pair, so this seemed like a good place to start. And I also found this lovely patriotic thread bed book on Etsy from Mesa Quilt Co. with very strong snap. Yep. Includes a skein of floss. Yeah. So I like that. I got that. I saw this on Lindy Stitches, and oh my gosh, I couldn't click buy fast enough. This is the Kraken and the Mermaid. I've looked at the peacock, unicorn, and badger chart, and I was like, that's kind of cool. I like it, but it's you know, not enough that I bought it. But oh my gosh, this is different. So this is Kraken, unicorn, Kraken and the Mermaid. It is solid stitching, full coverage. But oh my gosh, that is so cool. So I got that. And a piece of 46 count, some 46 count linen, bought some rabbit. Again, can't travel alone. And I also got my fabric of the month from Fabrics by Stephanie, French Blue, 56 count. So find something good for that. And then the last thing, the Evertote D-Stash got me again on Patreon, and it got me again really bad in April. That has not arrived yet, thank God. So I bought this lovely project bag, and they were also destashing this chart from Pansy Patch Quilts. It's called Serenity. Is that not the prettiest thing? The little scissors and the thread and the bobbins. Oh. So I got it, and I got the floss pack. All Roxy Floss Co. And I pulled a piece of 36 count vellum to do it on. No, I'm not doing it on Roxy Floss. fabric. None of the fabrics that came with that particular destash order. I like this better for that. So, see how nice that looks. That is pretty. So that's my first Pansy Patch chart. So yeah, if you are Patreon and you do not have Evertote and Roxy Floss as part of your memberships, you are missing out because it's a really good one. I got a complimentary month after the 2025 Advent calendar, all the tariff nonsense. So we had to pay, the customers, U.S. customers, had to pay additional monies for the Advent box because of the Canada tariffs. And in exchange, Evertote said, here, let's give you a month, or I think it was almost 2 months, of Patreon membership, which was amazing, and I have continued it ever since. And the number of videos and sales and free charts every month, and it's really a good one. It's very much a good one. So that's the stash. That wasn't that bad, right? That's not bad for the entire month of April, which was my birthday. So, there's got to be stash acquisitions on your birthday. I consider it at this point in my life retirement planning because I am much closer to retirement and lots more stitching time. So I need to make sure I have plenty to cover me once I retire and stop working full time. So, because work kind of gets in the way of all the stitching time. So, all right, let's talk what is in front of us for May, right? Well, May has already started. Yes, I know. I am caught up on Fox and Rabbit. I am caught up on my Lola Crow, and I made progress on my 4th of July block party. But given that I had travel last week and that I have travel this coming week, I know darn good and well I'm not going to get through all 10 slots that I usually have from a rotation perspective. So I've cut that in half for this month. I'm only going to do 5. I'm only going to touch 5 of the current whips because I still need to do another 4,000 plus stitches on Museum After Midnight. And I do want to start America 250 Memorial Day weekend. So those are the 2 kind of hard plans. Back in January, I created a list of 10 projects that I had on my radar that I wanted to finish in 2026. So I don't know if you would call, it's not really a year of whips thing. It's just more of these were the 10 things. And that's how I formed my first rotation in January when I decided to go back to rotation stitching. I do 10 hours per slot on my rotation stitching. Well, as you can see, I finished 4 of them. So I'm doing pretty good. So I finished Divine Beasts, which you've seen. I have finished both an Animal Cracker and I have finished one of the Tiny Towns, which is what that slot was meant to cover. I finished one of each of those. I will go back to more, but for right now I'm calling that slot complete for my 2026 plans. I finished the wedding sampler for my son, his wife. They loved it. It was all good. And then I also finished the 2024 Fox and Rabbit Mystery. That was like the first thing that I finished back in January. So I've done pretty good about finishing off this list. So what remains from this list, right? Well, Shakespeare's Peddler, the Abundance is Enough, which I showed progress on that. That was probably the latest start on this list, or the most recent start on this list. So it was seen in April, so I'm not going to carry it forward to May. Victoria Sampler, I Love My Dog, that was my New Year, New Start. So again, it's over halfway done. I'm not going to carry it forward to May. So, but the last three. So the Modern Folk Embroidery 2024 Sal, which is No Time Like the Present, that's going to have at least one slot in May. Shannon Christine's Nutcrackers, which I didn't touch in April, that will have at least one slot in May. And then Witchy Stitcher's Graveyard Wanderer will also have it. And it's pretty close to done. I may finish it in its next 10 hours. I only have a portion of one page left. So, so these three, No Time Like the Present, Nutcracker, and Graveyard Wanderer, are 3 of my 5 May whips. Number 4 is Holiday House, which again I showed you because I worked on it in April, because I want to make sure I finish that I'm set up to finish that in July. And then the last one will be Love Conquers All, which again is 3/4 done, and I think I can finish that this month as well. So those 5 whips are going to be the May rotation. Obviously, once I get back from my business trip this coming week, I'll actually do Love Conquers All probably today and tomorrow, and then Sunday I have some thoughts which I will share in a moment. But I'll get through those 5 at least once, and we could end up with 2 finishes out of that, which would be fantastic. I could mark 2 more things off this list and have 2 more things that much closer. At my current rate of progress, No Time Like the Present is not going to be done until like September, so, which is okay. That's still in 2026, right? All right. The 4th of July block will be my travel piece. Like I said, I've got at least 2 more flights, and the flights that I'm on are well over 3 hours, 3 to 5 hours each, because I'm going to Pennsylvania this week, and then in June to Cincinnati. So that's still some good amount of time. And it's easy to work on. So it'll be a whip that I bring with me for StitchCon. But I have been watching and very much enjoying Adam the Runner Stitcher, especially his new mystery full coverage. I've also found the current cross-stitch meadow videos that seem to be all the rage in the full coverage conversations, and his diagonal stitching method, which is actually pretty similar to what I do. Not exactly the same because everybody's different. But it's been creating some stir in the one, well, I have 2 full coverage pieces, but this is the one that all of a sudden I am now hearing whisper from my whip pile. I will put up a picture. I created this chart, so I'll put up the picture. It is from a video game. It is from a video game called Mass Effect that is very important in my household. My husband plays it. My daughter plays it. To me, it's like a movie. I know the character. I know everything about this video game, right? It's actually a series of 3 video games, and that picture was released when the 3rd installment of the game was released, and it was a publicly released image, specifically to be used for personal use. However, we wanted to use it, so the original image is actually wider. I cropped it down so that it's a square. And then I ran it through one of the online pattern generators. And this is the bottom corner. It's tough to see all the colors. There's a lot of dark blue, there's some brown, there's some black in there. You can see some of the lighter blue, but this was the start. And I think this is roughly 2 pages, roughly 2 pages. I think this is a page. This is the 2nd page stop. But you can start to see some of the color variations from the bottom left of that image, right? Yeah. So this is 2/1 half stitch. I think it's a 28 count. I'm pretty sure it's a 28 count easy grid fabric. So this is the progress. And this puppy is starting to kind of whisper at me. And so I'm thinking I will use Andrew's walking videos to make some progress on this. I'm not going to count stitches. It is in Pattern Keeper, and it makes it 1,000 times easier to work on. The other full coverage I have is a paper chart, and the bottom left corner is like a lot of confetti, and of course that's where I started, and that's a story for another day. I'm thinking I'll use his videos just from a time perspective to work on this, either with his walk videos, and I'll start at the New York ones. I've been to Florida. I'll start with the New York ones. I've only been to New York a couple of times, and that was for work. And then his mystery stitch videos I'll use, and I will work on this. I'm thinking. So that may be Sunday. We'll see. I have not pulled all the colors. This is everything that I've pulled out for these first few pages. It's just these are the colors. I do have one of the Paco style organizers, which I will probably move them to. But yeah, that's kind of whispering at me. It's sort of, I could see myself working on this again. Mike's not currently playing Mass Effect. I can't count the number of times he's played it through. He's not currently in a playthrough, but he's playing something else right now, but that's okay. Maybe if I start working on it again, he'll start a new playthrough. So as I mentioned, I'm going to start America 250 on Memorial Day weekend. It's the first time in many, many years. I have no plans for Memorial Day weekend. So here's America 250. This is the kit from the retreat last summer. I did not order this in 2026 from the attic, just so you know. But it's I've got everything in here. So, but I will start this on Memorial Day weekend. And I obviously need to move it to the other bag, because this is not a patriotic bag. But it's a really nice one from Penny and Tinny, so I like it. And then the other thing that has been kind of whispering at me from the vault, another Ronnie bag, is a Teresa Kogut. And Pam mentioned this on her video last month, Scarecrow Lane, and she mentioned the other Teresa Kogut, the Halloween sampler style one, and that immediately brought this one to mind, and I'm like, This was an exclusive in the Homespun Needlework group. There's a new exclusive, by the way, coming out next Friday, the 15th. If you're interested, I don't remember who the designer is. I don't know if she's told us who the designer was. Anyway, so if you want to join the group, now would be a good time. Anyway, so I have this one. So this has now been washed spring, and I know it's not fall, but I am not a seasonal stitcher, as hopefully you've seen already. I got Christmas, I got Halloween, and when I finish Graveyard Wander, I will have no active spooky whips. Yes, I have several already started, but I don't have any active spooky whips. Yeah, so we'll see. Maybe this will come out and be my fallish. It's not really spooky. Well, we'll make it work. So, whew. So those are the things that are whispering at me right now. So that's all that I have from a stitching perspective. I did finish a couple of books. We'll keep this short. The first book I finished was Astral Library for the next Absinthe and Shadows book club from Michelle at Cozy Egg. I cannot keep that in my brain, Michelle. I'm sorry. Anyway, I finished Astral Library. I liked it. Our book club meeting is in 2 weeks, so you still have time if you like to join and read the book. It's not a huge book, and it was, like I said, it's pretty good. So I'm looking forward to that. And the next book is Cleopatra, which I'm even looking forward to more. So I finished that, and then the other thing I finished was Rite of Starling. Well, you can see the title. That was book 2 in the. It was a sequel to Shield of Sparrow, which I really liked. I like this series because it's nice and twisty. I like surprises and twisty plots, and this was pretty darn twisty, especially towards the end. Sadly, I have to wait almost a year for book 3, which is not fair, but it is what it is. So I finished those, and then I'm also in the middle of my re-listen to Dungeon Crawler Carl in anticipation of the next book coming out next week. I won't be done when the new book comes out. It is what it is. I'll get there when I get there. I'm in book 3 right now of 7. So I've actually been watching more FlossTube than I have been listening to audiobooks. So, but that's it. That's all I have. Like I said, in May, I only have 1 start planned. We'll see what happens. But other than that, I'm good. So I hope you are good. I hope you're having a fantastic spring. Have a marvelous Mother's Day on Sunday. And like I said, I will be headed to StitchCon next month for a weekend day. If you're going, I would love to know. And other than that, have a fantastic day. Be well, stitch lots, and we'll see you next month. Bye.